Is your pet experiencing symptoms like weight loss, dull hair coat, sensitive stomach, allergies, acid reflux, or even itchy skin that never seem to go away no matter what you do? These symptoms all have something in common called leaky gut, and you may be missing this important root cause to actually healing your pet for good. By the end of this video, you'll know the top causes of leaky gut so you can prevent these frustrating symptoms from returning and regain confidence again that you're on the right path to truly healing your pet's gut and skin health issues. Take it from our Blueprint program client, Teresa, and her dog, Riley, who she noticed that Riley's acid reflux flared up each month with flea and tick preventative medication. By uncovering and addressing the root cause, she was actually able to significantly improve Riley's health naturally. Now, if this is something you're struggling with, I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, a holistic veterinarian, and I help pet parents like you all over the world figure out the root cause, and I don't want you to struggle alone anymore. There's a link below to speak with me directly, so go ahead and book a call. But now let's dive into why your pet might be experiencing these symptoms so that you can finally help them feel better for good.
Now, this is key, and it's commonly missed, is what causes inflammation in the gut. Now, this is where leaky gut will occur with these things. And diet, number one, so processed food diets, they tend to be full of potential inflammatory ingredients, potential carcinogens. They can have preservatives. There can be artificial flavors and colors. Carrageenan is really common in a lot of canned foods. And carrageenan is used in a lot of gut health studies to irritate the gut lining. So we don't want to feed it, right? So when we become aware of these things, we can do our best to avoid them, remove them, or minimize them. Medications are also going to be a huge issue or cause of leaky gut. So non-steroidals, antacids, steroids, antibiotics, especially. There's lots of studies with all of these medications also. And metronidazole, there's studies that showed how it impacted the microbe composition, and it didn't even resolve after 4 weeks once the metronidazole was discontinued. So we have these long-lasting impacts. This is the other issue that happens that is commonly missed, where we give something and then down the road, we see a health issue, because remember, we're on the spectrum of disease where we give a drug and we move closer to disease, but we might not have tipped over into actually manifesting that disease and showing a symptom, but it put a lot of resistance on the body. And then we add in a stressor, or we add in an infection, and now the body can't handle it. And now we see the diarrhea. So that's where your history and looking at flare-ups and keeping journals can be very powerful and impactful, because you may not see a result of something you give right away, but when we start seeing patterns, it makes it much easier to pick up when something's impacting your pet. Now, the other thing too with that would be your flea and tick preventatives, your heartworm preventatives. Those would be included in medications. And I see that all the time, especially with pets with sensitive GI tracts or things like autoimmune disease or IBD, where we give a heartworm preventative, and then you're like, why do they flare up? And it might be a week or two later. But if you look back, you could see each time you're like, oh, they always have a flare up. That's really common with a lot of my clients. Once we start realizing and they start looking at the history of what's been going into their pet and when their flare-ups actually occur. Now, infections also, so bacteria, yeast, fungi, parasites, giardia is a huge one that wrecks the gut and can have lasting side effects. The other thing is dysbiosis, so overgrowth of pathogenic bacteria in the gut, which we talked about. These release things called lipopolysaccharides. So these are particles that create the inflammation and create a whole host of issues. And then, of course, the chemicals. I mentioned your flea and tick preventatives, cleaning products, laundry detergents. A lot of your laundry detergents will actually stay in the like clothing or the blankets for like 6 weeks. So this is why removing these things and transitioning over to more natural products is going to help remove the resistance to healing. And then glyphosate. Right now, while we're talking live, there's so much herbicides and pesticides being sprayed, and glyphosate, which is Roundup, directly impacts the microbiome. So we need to become aware of these things. And even if you're not using them, you are coming into contact with them. Now, once again, it doesn't mean that you want to get all stressed out like this kitty, right? This quote. But once we realize, like, hey, I'm constantly exposed to these things, what can I do to build up my resilience? And then we have stress. So the gut-brain axis is really important. And then poor detoxification is a huge issue with so many animals, especially with itchy skin, allergies, or what we think are allergies, high level of toxins, heavy metals. Our pets just can't get it out, and it creates inflammation in the body. This is why this is part of one of our pillars, the environmental health and detoxification. So once again, that gut barrier breaks down. We have leaky gut. We get increased absorption of larger materials that would normally not be able to pass through the barrier. These leaked materials, things like food, bacteria, toxins, they challenge the immune system to produce an immune response. And subsequently, we get inflammation. We get oxidative stress. We get increased exposure to toxic compounds. So think about, this is going to affect other areas of the body due to the systemic involvement. So what that means is that it's going everywhere. And thinking about, okay, we're creating more toxins. So if our pets are already having a hard time or struggling with processing toxins, now we just dumped a bunch more in for them to process. So you can see how this turns into a vicious cycle. But once we get aware of it, we can help it and support it.
If this is something you're struggling with and you're ready to find a way forward rather than hoping the next thing works, there's a link below to speak with me directly so we can start figuring out together how to heal the root cause of your pet's chronic skin and gut health issues naturally. And if you'd like to continue to learn more about how to use some of our top natural remedies to help heal gut health, make sure to check out my next video on how to use simple teas that you probably have in your pantry to help your pet feel their best.